Okay.
Okay.
Should we move over?
No,
Get
this
out of
is
the
fine.
action? No. Are we okay?
So tell me about your, who your grandpa, is it your grandpa that's German?
Großpapa.
Your Großpapa? What'd you call him?
Großpapa.
Großpapa?
I was did.
And was he from Germany or Switzerland?
Or right, out of someplace out of Berlin. I don't just in that area. I don't know the house town or anything about it.
And your grandma was she Italian or was she German?
Oh, she was German. He was married there. When they came over in the sailboat, of course, I think they had one child and they lost one on the sea. She was in the family where they lost one on the sea.
Oh.
I think my mother was born in Texas. My mother was youngest.
What did you say any German? Did you
Huh?
just talk German? What'd you say to your grandpa? What'd you call him?
Großpapa.
Oh yeah. Did I already ask that? I asked that.
You remember me short, Bob.
And the Italian side, where does the Italian come in?
That's on my father's side.
And
Corsica. I think they come from Corsica.
and spell their name differently than C-I-T.
C-I-T-T-I.
And then who changed it to C-I-T-T-E?
My dad and his brother, younger, one brother older than him. They how they got it. But I don't remember. It just and then the older brother showed them later that they were wrong. But they'd been using it too many years this way already, so it was never changed.
Yeah, there's a big sign there in Roy where it says Ray Citte. Have you ever seen that? It says Ray Citte, just past your business. It says there's a big.
Right across the street from me there.
It says Ray Citte.
Yeah, Roy, yeah.
Looks
Roy
just
City.
like Ray Citte.
Yeah.
Do people
Roy
mix
City,
that
yeah,
up?
That's Roy City, yeah. I run that one time. When you're Roy City, stop and see Ray City. I put an ad that the way when I first moved in there.
That's
Ask
good.
him his mother's maiden name.
And what's your mother's maiden name?
Elizabeth Hensel. Hensel. H-E-N-S-E-L.
Like Hansel and Gretel?
Huh?
Hansel and Gretel?
H-E-N-S-E-L.
Yeah. That would have been the A's at umlaut always, so that's about the same.
They called her, I always called her Lizzie.
Lizzie?
Lizzie, yeah. Her name was Elizabeth.
So does anybody in your family speak German or Italian?
No.
Nobody living?
No.
Ask him what
I
his
don't
father
remember
did
if
or his grandfather.
yeah, my uncle back in Kansas, we spoke. I was back there a couple of times, but I don't remember if we spoke it or not. I read it too many years ago.
What was your dad? What did he do for a living?
My grandfather?
Yeah. No, your dad.
My dad?
Yeah.
What did he do for a living?
Yeah.
He's a painting contractor. He's an electrical contractor. He got a truck once and fixed up with the refrigerator inside. Went down the street, ringing the door, blowing the bugle, and get kids to buy ice cream. Had ice cream inside. He done that for a couple of years.
Wow.
And but painting and electrical, that was his main job he done. Done one of the other 3 years, electrical contractor. He used to get up to do those 6 and 7, 8-story buildings on the outside of the scaffold painting them. I'd be up inside on the rack painting the iron fence on the roof. I couldn't stand height.
Oh.
I couldn't stand. I'd even be up on just a 2-story house on the scaffold. I was so busy hanging on, so I didn't get much work done. Height bothered me. I've always had.
So how long have you been in the car business?
57 years.
Who's been in longer in Utah?
Longer than me?
Yeah. Anybody?
Well, the fathers or something like Peterson Motors, but well, he wasn't longer. No, I was as long as him. What's the boy in Salt Lake that?
Backs him up. Backs every car up he sells.
Yeah.
What's his name?
Yeah, what's his dad?
Gus
was
Paulus?
No.
his dad was in it. He was an older man than I was. I think he died around when he was around 90.
Oh. Yeah, he lived. I mean, he's got a place right across from the city county building there.
Yeah. His Mercedes, Oldsmobile.
I don't remember his name.
What else he got?
Rick Warner's
He's a
dad was
Honda,
in the business.
So you're probably the oldest in the state.
Probably close to it, yeah. Probably close to it. Yeah. All of I know that's, you know, used to be on the auction, and they're all gone now. They're all gone.
You still go to the auction?
No, I haven't. No, I remember 2 or 3 years ago I got on there with the boys and the son, but they used to, early days, used to say, Frank Brasher's auction, they can't start this. Ray Citte's there because I never missed it.
Tell them how old you are and that you go to work every day.
I'm 90 years old and I go to work, start at 10 and stay there for lunch and leave at 4.
Ask how his grandpa Hensel died.
How did your grandpa Hensel die?
Shot himself.
He did?
Yeah.
Oh.
Accident?
My mother was dying with cancer and he told me, he says, I don't want Lizzie to die before me.
Oh.
He's 78 years old. He went over to my cousin's house. Cousin, or man lived with a cousin, and he was trimming the trees. I went over to trim trees, and he knew my cousin had a revolver in the house. He went inside, got it, went out in the shed there, and shot himself.
Oh.
Oh.
Yeah.
And then she died shortly
He died
later?
about a month later or less. Yeah, he was close to death. Yeah.
He just didn't want to, he couldn't see his life without her?
He just wanted to see her die for him. Yeah.
Oh.
Is he the one that did the woodworking, the old world kind of woodworking?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and did you?
He worked in Germany, yeah. He in Germany, I think he used to say, you worked for 2 years before you ever had a brush to paint. You were busy mixing paint and stirring up and cleaning brushes, but you never put a better paint on it. Yet you did 2 years of that before you ever got to put a paintbrush and start putting it on the wall or the woodwork.
Wow.
Cleaning brushes and mixing paint.
And they made it look like wood.
Yeah, that's right. That's
It was the grain.
Yeah, but that grain, that's why he done that. Yeah. Our house used to have that in it. Yeah.
How did he meet your grandmother?
Huh?
Do you know how they met, your grandpa and your grandma?
No. Matter of fact, Neil's got some life history on it that he's going to give me the book. I don't know how I have to have all this.
Yeah.
What was it? To give me that book, let me read it to you.
Yeah.
He's got some on my grandfather. My grandfather's father died in Germany. He went to sleep out in the snow and just froze to death.
Oh.
He could have. People do that, but nowadays we know what people with Alzheimer's disease. My neighbor across the street from me, he done that one time. His wife woke up about 3 in the morning and he couldn't find him. And she called the police and they found him on 24th and Pierce in Stoneback, dead.
Oh, that's just 2 blocks from you.
Just up a long place from our place. Yeah, that's right. From the hill field, he's a rock hound. He used to go out and get rocks, and make things out of them, and like to fish, like to hunt. He stopped everything. He stopped doing his rock business. He gave his gun and his fishing pole to his son. He just stopped everything. You retire, you don't do anything.
Oh.
He just smoked, and he sat there. Finally, he just went downhill.
Yeah.
But I can remember my first wife, we were sitting on the rock wall out there one day, roses, out in summertime, and I was trimming the roses up or something. They come over and says, well, we're going to Hawaii. And I said, well, I'm sure tickled you're going to take a trip. I mean, they had never been any place in their life.
Wow.
Just rock hunting and trailer. I had a trailer. I had a trailer, 16-foot trailer. And they went to Hawaii and got over there. And poor Mac had a heart attack over there.
Oh.
And had to stay in the hospital. I don't know what they done to him over there, but and she had to stay there until they got well before they could come home.
Oh.
But the only trip they ever took in life was a trip to Hawaii, and they couldn't enjoy it.
They waited too
had a heart
long.
attack.
Yeah.
But he got over it, came home.
Do you remember any special foods or any dish that your mom would fix, or your dad or your grandpa that was?
Well, one I tell
German
you,
or Italian?
we have this what's it? Red cabbage. That's a German cabbage.
Oh, yeah.
It makes it a little on the sweet side.
Mm-hmm.
We like. That's the only thing I don't like about some German foods are a little on the sour side.
Yeah.
I'm a sweet lover.
Yeah.
But
Well, haven't
my
we
mother
done a
made.
dish with you guys?
Yeah, you made it. Well, made us
did,
some,
didn't we?
you made us some German food one time, Bob. I remember, yeah. I don't remember if your cabbage is sweet or not, but that's why my mother always made it.
It was sweet, but maybe not sweet enough.
Sugar, I mean, but I love that
You
too.
can't be
We never
perfect,
have
you
it,
know.
but I used to just love that red cabbage.
Oh, we love it too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, maybe I'll pick up some red cabbage while you're here and you can
Nice.
stir us up.
Well, I'd have just do the whole meal.
Yeah, you could.
Why
We
don't
would.
we?
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
Let's do that
Yeah, that was
instead
one
of
of the
going
famous
to
German
Czechoslovakia.
foods we used to have. And then it's Limburger cheese. My grandfather was a lover of Limburger cheese. I used to be able to eat it when I was younger too.
Was that this real smelly?
Real smell, real strong. Yeah, it's real strong. That's right. That's right. And he always had it and make it, slice it off and have a bread up for lunch, sandwich, something like for lunch.
Mm.
I used to eat Limburger cheese quite a bit.
Does it taste better than it smells?
I guess it does, Bob. It's been so many years. I was seeing that this I'm talking about when I was 10, 11 years, 12 years old. See, that's a long time.
Mhm.
So, yeah, it didn't bother me at that time, if I remember. Yeah, I know it's strong smelling.
Tell us about your days as a banjo player.
Didn't last long. About 6 months, Bob. Eddie Peabody was the national banjo player. He was on TV, and well, we didn't have TV. He's on the radio, and I remember he could just really play the band, Eddie Peabody, and so my dad picked up I don't know if he bought it or how we got it, a tenor banjo. I started taking lessons, and of course, taking lessons and doing enough studying on it and practice enough. My dad never thought I'd practice enough. Of course, money was hard in those days too, and it wasn't too much money. So about 6 months, he just give me up.
What's the definition of perfect pitch? You know, you say she couldn't have. It's when you toss the banjo into the dumpster, it lands on the accordion.
A perfect pitch.
I love it. We had an accordion player who used to be on the radio. I can't even think of his name. A young man. Oh, I can't put that.
Marion Fleming?
Huh?
Was that Goose? No,
He's on the Lawrence Welk
Welk
show. Is that the guy?
Yeah.
Marion?
Marion. I want to say
On
Fleming.
the radio. Remember him on the
Oh yeah, yeah.
Huh?
Myron Florin.
Myron Florin.
No, this is before.
He's before him.
Before Myron Thorner. Back farther than him.
Oh, okay. Dick Contino.
Dick
Dick
Contino.
Contino. Yeah.
Rattle those keys. I
He
just
was
loved
he
it.
flamenco type?
Just loved it. I just loved it. And that's why I got Roy to play the accordion. I just love music.
What's your
Yeah.
favorite kind of music? What is your favorite kind of music?
The old Orange Wolf stuff.
Orange Wolf?
That's my favorite kind of music. I love that kind of music, really do. When I hear some of this newer stuff they played today, Bob, I go, oh, how can they actually get paid to play something like that? I mean, it's just horrible, you know what I mean? But that old Orange Wolf, it's a tune that I think's really got a lot of rhythm to it. Just my melody, just right.
Well, it's the German in you. He's German, so, you know.
Yeah, that's right.
What's the German Christmas song, Bob?
Stille Nacht.
Still Nacht or O Tannenbaum.
Tannenbaum.
The old German Christmas song.
Stille Nacht, Stille Nacht.
Silent Night.
I know, Silent Night.
Yeah.
And then we'd play that. We kind of. I remember right. My grandfather would be over and had a Christmas tree up, and we kind of do our celebrating Christmas Eve. I remember.
Yeah, that's what you do in Germany.
Christmas Eve, yeah, not in the morning, Christmas Eve. And I can remember grandfather being there playing Silent Night, and I thought on the record machine, you know.
Yeah.
Record. Yeah. And coffee, he had a little old-fashioned coffee pot he had in the stove, and that coffee was pretty well on there. Could be on there all day long. He'd have a cup of coffee and warm it, keep it up there to last the day. He loved his coffee.
And when was this in Los Angeles?
Loved that, yeah.
So you grew up in Los
Oh,
Angeles,
yeah,
born and raised there.
Vernon, just off of Vernon and Central. You wouldn't know where it was at, of course, but I lived just about a block off of there. I used to have a paper route, and I'd deliver the paper to the stores up on that intersection. And then the streetcars go along there, and I think the paper was 3 cents. A little small paper, like Daily News, like. And I used to go, they'd be riding the cars on, have the paper, and they'd have it 3 cents. And I'd ready to deliver to all the stores their paper, had them on a weekly or monthly affair.
Wow.
I got 3 cents for the paper.
How old were you?
10 or 11.
Tell them how much
Nine.
it cost you to go on a date back in those days.
Well, it didn't take very much. I can see gasoline was 8 gallons for $1. Coke was a nickel, and the best hamburger you get was a dime, and he'd have a well, wait, no, that wasn't a hamburger. I guess it was a weenie. I guess, and he'd put a kind of a ground, up hamburger, kind of a sauce like in this bun with the weenie, real buttery taste,
Chili
real.
dog.
That was a dime.
Wow.
So it cost you 30 cents to stop there. You've been to the show. It cost 10 cents or 15 cents to get in, maybe 25 cents at the most. And take your girlfriend out, stop, and his place would be right on Florence Avenue. He used to have a streetcar, and he stopped there, and they even had girls, and that's from the wait on you, or open and orders yourself, and they'd bring it out to you or something like that. Yeah. Gallons gas was 8 gallons for $1. Two friends of mine. Well, I had one friend, two brothers run a service station, and I got to Ogden one time. I got the service station business, but we had to sign a note at the back. My wife didn't want to sign it because she says, "No, but I never knew anybody that never made any money at service station." I said, "Honey, in Los Angeles, one of my friends there. Well, I knew him. I knew his." One of my friends was his uncle had a station there, and he bought a new Packard every year. You don't buy a Packard, I mean, it was hard to cheap for that, but I said, you got to be making money to buy a Packard. And so I know money could make it, so she finally signed it. I got into it. After I had a couple of years under my belt, so what it made, she said, I'll never, if you want to sign for money for the business, I'll sign. I'll never question your ability, you are. So I did very good in the service station. I worked 7 days a week, but dog's life, but I did make money.
So
Of
how,
course, I say making money, that was $10,000 a year. That was big money in those days, because the average guy in Ogden was making $125 a month. So me making $10,000 a year, I was in a pretty good bracket. But I had to work 7 days a week to do it.
so how'd you meet your wife, your first wife?
To dance.
At a dance?
At they had a big dance all out on Third. So, can't remember the street now. And I had all the top bands coming there. And her two cousins were there. She was there. There were 3 of us, and so we got acquainted with them and got dancing with her. That's how we got acquainted. Yeah.
And so then you got married, and
Yeah.
did you move immediately to Ogden?
No,
Or?
not immediately. She had a lot of sinus trouble with the weather down there. When she come home, it bothered her for a while. She'd clear up. As soon as she'd get off the train, she'd be plugged up again. She had to go to the doctor every other night to get her sinus drained out of her nose. So I had a appliance store. The appliance store there was refrigerators, washer, dryers. Didn't have dryers, we had just washing machines. And radios. And I was just barely making a living, just having a struggle. And I said, oh, why don't we just go there and see if we can get staffed for someplace else. I was having a hard time trying to make it there. Times were tough. And I had gas stoves, too. But so I decided to give it up, and I had a Imperial Chrysler. It's a car that they made it to soda in the Chrysler. It was a streamlined car. It was far advanced. I don't think I ever saw one around. Real streamlined. It lasted about 2 years, 3 years maybe at the most. And I picked up, my friend of mine, the wrecking yard, he picked it up for me. I think the doors had been damaged. I had new metal poured in all 4 doors. It was a big 8-cylinder with overdrive, stick you of course. Didn't have any automatics those days. And we come across the desert at night, and I pulled into Vegas at 3 o'clock in the morning. It was 113 degrees. The guy was asleep there to get gas. I had to wake him up so I could get gas.
Oh,
Vegas was about 3 blocks long at that time.
yeah.
Yeah.
The strip.
1940.
Wow.
Got into Ogden. Got into Bountiful at August the 20th, 1940.
Mama's
Went to the
birthday.
folks' house and stayed there.
Mama's birthday.
Rested. Well, I don't think he even rested up that day. I think I came up to Ogden. I'd been to Ogden before, and one day we was driving around. My father-in-law was collecting some bills. He used to go out and collect on his counts. We went through Ogden, and I said to them, I said, "That little town is a nice looking little town. I like that little town." And Salt Lake didn't appeal to me too much. It was a kind of rural, run-down looking town, coming out of Los Angeles, a big city, but it didn't appeal to me. So when I left Bonneville, went up to Ogden, got a job the first day. He wanted to put me to work right away, so I just got in town this morning. Let's make it tomorrow. This friend of mine, Ed Jensen, was working there. He got married and he couldn't leave because he had needed somebody to replace him, go on his honeymoon. So Ed went on his honeymoon the next day, and I went to work there.
What was your first job up here? It was
Selling appliances, and you're supposed to make 6%, and it seems like every time you got on a deal to trade in, it always ended up at 3%. The boss was the nice guy to work for, just a very pleasant fellow, and you liked him, but that 3% was awful. I was thinking the 6% all the time. I couldn't get enough. So I started out in the papers, we teach you how to sell cars, Ford. So I went to Ford Garage, and I quit him and went to work. I drew my first paycheck after being there for 90 days. I had new town, new job, and learned how to sell cars, you know. If you was hanging from a 10-story building, would you rather be hanging by a steel cable or hydraulic fluid like Chrysler has for brakes? That's what they said. Their brakes is better than Chrysler. Steel cable on their bait, and you just had fluid. Made the Chrysler had brakes, and I had a Chrysler, of course, at the time. I wasn't really a Ford man anyway to begin with, but I sold them. Wound up 10 a year as top salesman. We had one salesman been there so long, but he gone 30-day drinking sprees. Just to be one drunk for 30 days. I'd sneak a customer of his once in a while. He wasn't there handling it, so. I mean, he was a good salesman. He stayed in the business for he died. I was still a salesman. I tried to hire him when I had the dealership going there, but he didn't want to leave. He'd been with the dealer for a while. He didn't want to leave. He was too old for that. So his name was Frank Nesbitt. Never forget it. He was an alcoholic, but he finally took the cure and stopped.
So when did you start? Did you then start your own car dealership?
When did I?
Yeah.
46.
In 46.
The used car manager at the Ford Garage,
Yeah.
and I was working out the Arsenal and hated it out there. And I saw this ad in the paper, 21st from Washington Chemical Station. So I went there and decided to take it over. I needed $800 to finance the parts and all the gas and stuff you had to pay for. And when I left the Arsenal, she said, "What reason are you leaving?" I said, "I just dislike it." I said, "I don't care what you put down because I'm leaving." I just couldn't stand the place.
Ask us.
For the first job they gave me a job, Bob Bear go out there to build 37 millimeter shells. It took me in the room. He would cook. I said, "Well, it doesn't really need an action, sir." It looks like it's about as high as you can get it. I want to wax anyway. So I got a bad feeling to the place right away.
Yeah.
Bear come out to build 37 millimeter shell. There's a war on, and he wants me to polish the floor. So I couldn't take it. Then just save all your paper, save all your wood. They'd be burning up paper and wood up every morning there, big piles of brand new lumber. That upset me.
oh,
Everything get done out there. And your bosses were all ex-farmers. They knew nothing about the business. They were green as the grass in May. Yeah, it was just. So I got in the service station, and I was to have a sales manager that comes with you. It's supposed to be with you for 2 weeks, get you started. So I'd never run a business before in my life. I never knew anything's that. So about 6 o'clock that morning, the phone rang, and I forget his name now. He called me. He said, "Ray, I'm called to Denver. I'm gonna be gone about 2 weeks. You'll have to just try that on your own." I said, "I'll help you when I get back." Well, here I step into a brand new place. Didn't know where the locks at, or how to turn the pumps on, where you turn the air on. I knew nothing about the place, so I get down there and circle around until I get opened up and start doing business.
Well, then you changed it to a car lot too, didn't you? Wasn't that the one?
No, I didn't know that. That was later. I'm talking back about 42,
Oh, okay.
43,
42,
44. Yeah. Yeah.
And so that one on 21st in
Of course,
Washington.
it's still there,
Yeah.
but it's not. Mine was a little. The conical was always a little green tin building in front. Then I had a nice wash rack, a double rack in the back. One side for washing cars, the other side with the lube in the car.
Did you have a little cap on, a little outfit and
Oh,
stuff,
yeah.
and you'd run out and
Oh yeah, green. You used white, green. That was the conical's colors.
Yeah.
White, green. Yeah.
Check the oil.
Yeah, check the oil and all that kind of stuff.
Check it. You drain the oil. One time I had a Japanese boy come under the Pontiac. We had gas was rationed at that time, 3 gallons a week. All the guy living in town would get 3 gallons of gas. Well, I pulled the plug on his pan, and the oil was full of sludge. It wouldn't even come out. It was just. I had to put the plug back in, dropped it down. I put about 2 quarts of kerosene in the oil, run it for a minute, then let it set and brought it up and drained it. So far I could put some fresh oil in it. You know, when you had to get it then down so you get that old dirty oil out. Filter. I think the lube job was $1 and the filter and oil was 3.5. So 4.5 you got your. Now I give them a $20 bill to. I don't even have a grease fitting on the Lincoln anymore. Just to change oil and a filter now. It costs me $20. I go on with the boys there.
They do sleep.
Place I sold them. Yeah, they take care of it.
And then when did you ran that for a while, then you bought the other place out in Riverdale?
Now let's see. Before I left, I was trying to think what was the next move I made.
You had both places at the same time, didn't you?
Well, no, I had it. I went to work when I was running the station. I went to work at the body shop. They built the truck bodies just a couple doors down. I went to work for there. I leased my station out. I had a guy running for me, but I started building truck bodies during the war. Right then, for a couple of years. Then I finally sold it to him. He went broke at it. It just took a lot of work. I mean, I made money in it, but he didn't want to work that hard.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that's right. You're not in the coast yet. You're still the gas. Okay. When did you finally get that?
The car?
Yeah. When did you do the cars?
46.
46.
Yeah.
Okay.
I got a hold of the used car manager, Ed Butters. He had been the used car manager at the Ford garage. He had a dealership out in Magda, Ford garage, and went broke in it. And tough times there. And so he managed the used cars, and he knew the used car business pretty good. So we agreed. I'd put the money up for us starting, and we split it. But I'd put the money up and start getting the business started. So that's how we started. I was with him about 2 years. I couldn't take it anymore. Having a partner. He was the kind of a guy that every morning he had a new idea for something doing this, and I just couldn't stand that upside down. I'd like to go all eat, but I can't have somebody changing their mind every other day. So I said, I'm going to sell out, Ed. Or you buy me out, or I'll buy you out. He said, well, give me a figure. So, or no, I guess he gave me a figure first. Ridiculous figure, trying to steal it. I said, no, I won't. So I figured out what I'd sell it for here. I'll sell it to you, but I'll give you this much money for it. He thought it over for a day or so and said, I'll take it. So I give him I said, all right, he gave me the money. He stepped out by me. He gave me enough to get left out. Then I started a lot of my own.
Okay.
Where was the first lot of your own?
About 33rd and Washington. I had an old retired car dealer. He's Lou Haynes. He was a good old boy, older man than me. And he lost his hair. Had no hair at all. Lost his eyebrows. And I had him come in and work for me, selling cars. It's a small lot. And that's how I got started.
That's where the Denny's, one of those fast food places, is now on 33rd and Washington.
Well, I'm just trying to think of what's there now.
It's
Yeah.
No, it's right around. You know where Peterson's used to be there, where their dealership was Peterson? About a block north of that, I guess.
So is it on the east side of the road?
Huh?
Yeah.
East side of the road?
Yeah, it's right next to the surf street at the corner, and my lot was there, a small lot. And we had the snow, Bob, by hand, stacked up around there as high as this building inside. We finally had to hire a guy with some kind of lifter to come out. I don't remember what kind of rig he had, come in and get them, because we had no place to put it. Winter of '48, it was just nasty, very nasty. We put that up there by hand with shovels, square shovels. Had no equipment after those days. So I stayed there a couple of years, and I started to think where I moved to from there. Let me see, where did I move to? Oh, yes, I guess I moved a couple of blocks south. That'd be like the
Grand
edge of town. Nothing out that way in those days.
Oh, you're south.
Yeah,
South.
I went south, and
Kind of where Riverdale Road comes in? Or?
well, it just decided about a block or so. Yeah, a block before the company. Yeah, I started a lot there. The guy there, it just he'd borrowed money from the finance company on some used cars, and when he sold them, he took the money and skipped left town, and so the lot was left. I just stepped into it, and I took the lot over. That's where I started used cars right there, the pretty sky scale, and for those days.
When did you build your first house?
Huh?
Your first house.
Or what I?
When did you build your first house?
My first house, I built in '41, because what's it? Japanese, the Japanese, they attacked us. What was the 7th day of December? Was it? Okay, I was painting my house on the outside. It's on a Sunday. At 3 o'clock, my brother-in-law came over from Bonneville, and he left Alta at the house out there, and he came over. He says, "We're in war, Ray," and they started the day. And so I cleaned up my tools and brushing, and went to the house, and they started the war that day, December the 7th. Never forget it. I didn't know anything about it, because I didn't have no radio. You didn't have radio ways working those days. You just worked. Kids nowadays gonna have a radio playing there. My war track's on the radio blasted all the time.
Yeah.
So that's
And how much did your first house cost you?
$3,700. Lot in the house. Little probably I don't know, 11, maybe 10 or 11 square feet. I had dining room in it, Pullman kitchen, 1 bedroom, living room and bathroom. And I finally built 2 bedrooms downstairs, kids. Because I only had 2 children at that time.
So you had, so they were born when you were in that house. Were the others born when you built your other house?
Well, Lorraine was born, we brought her to California. She was born in California.
Oh.
The other 3 were born right in Ogden. Not at the house, they went to the hospital. Hospital was right down the street. Right on the corner.
Was it
24th and Harrison. Hospital was right on the corner there, those days. So I lived there for 8 years. And I sold it for $10,000. I gave it to real estate. He brought 1 customer over, and I never saw him again. He kept sending them over to me all the time. So I finally jumped him on it. I thought I hired you to sell the house. He said, "Well, you're asking too much for it." I says, I'm only asked the price you told me to. That's what it bring. That's the price of it. So I took it away from him and put it in the paper on a Sunday, and the first guy come, I sold it to him. $10,000.
Oh.
In the meantime, I'd had my house started ready. Before I advertised to sell it. And then, of course, he pressured me for quite a while. We moved into my house. We'd been moving into my house for quite a while. We put a lot of stuff in the basement. My dad was living here, and he helped me. And we finally kept pressuring me, and I think I moved in on the 10th of January of 1950. We built it for 49, and I moved in, and we still were put carpet in, painting, just woodwork, and a lot of that work till midnight, put every night painting the house.
Nice house.
And when it was
$25,000, Bob, finished.
Wow.
Yeah, that's the difference. And when I got it through, I didn't know a dime on it. I mean, it was all paid for.
Yeah.
It did good. And
That's nice.
kept up, saved all we could, what, and of course the $10,000 we got. Yeah. So I never better made a payment. The only thing I did with my money, any money that I could spare, went back in the business to make it grow. That's why I had a second partnership. Took the Chrysler in Plymouth at Lake. A friend of mine who went into it, and I could see his idea was starve the business, suck all you could out of it. I knew that you don't build a business by doing that, so that's why I only lasted a year. I had a sick wife and drive to Lake every day. We got somebody to buy me out.
So your method of running a business is to keep putting back into the business,
Sure.
basically, just
Feed
try
it.
to.
Yeah, like you feed your body, you know what I mean? You got to be fed, make it grow. Put $1 or $5 in, make it grow, or $25.
Did you take a salary?
Small salary, I always take a smaller salary, just a little. That's all I ever took out. That's what this salesman I got with me now, Bob Kelson. He makes $250 more a month. Bob's always made good money. Well, I never did draw much money out, so my salary was not high. I always just do enough out to live on. That's all, just living.
That's good.
So I never.
No house
Social
payment.
Security is not
Yeah, no house payment.
$250 less than it is. Mine is. I'm 1322 now. Over the years. Because I retired when I lost my wife. She was 67, and I was 65, and that's when I decided to retire. I had Neil out on 16th Street, running. I'd give him a place out there. We started up the used car lot, and he was doing good. He asked if he couldn't come in and run the business. I said, well, let's give it a try. So he moved all the stock out there and emptied that lot. We rented it a little later and started in it. That's probably 22, 23, 24 years ago. So he done the job.
Yeah. And now look where you're at.
Huh?
And now look where you're at.
Yeah, I look at that. And it's only through, but see if we can give Neil a lot of credit there too. That big hunk of ground we bought behind us, it was a lumberyard. It was going to be bought for a lumberyard. They'd give it up. He bought that on his own and gambled on it. It was too much of a gamble for me.
At the old place?
That's why we got $2,400,000. Never saw the money, Bob, but they just had, we had to put it in we never paid no tax on it, see.
Pretty much a parking lot.
Huh?
Is that Best store now? Best Buy, is that there now?
No.
Or just parking lot?
Lowe's.
All the property that he bought back there is Lowe's.
When we went back, back to the railroad track.
That's right.
We didn't need that much ground, but he bought it, which was a good move.
Yeah.
That's why they wanted me.
Good, real good move.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great.
How'd you
The
feel?
location is in that boat. I was glad to get out of there because it's not like a day to day. Day to day, you couldn't get in and out of our place. We didn't. We made an entrance to the back. If you didn't have that, you couldn't get out. Front end, you're lost in the front.
20 after
Just too
4 or
crowded.
5?
It was a mess. Nice.
Yeah, crowded. But Lowell's Harbor, it works good.
2 minutes left. What else you want to say? I didn't know. All I wanted was a few. This is great, though.
I know.
You could use this for
Yeah.
posterity.
Well, you might have to
edit a
edit
little bit. Yeah.
for the
You kannst in
class.
Deutsch sprechen? Ja?
Ja, ich kann Deutsch sprechen. Kannst du? Wie geht's?
Now he's lost.
That's part of life history.